Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing my May TBR, and for the month of May I am exclusively participating in Medieval-A-Thon, which I'm really excited about. It's a readathon that's hosted by my friend Holly from Holly Hearts Books. She did it last year and now this is the second year that she is hosting it, and last year I kind of only half participated. I decided after the fact because I was in a contemporary mood, but I've been in a fantasy mood and that fantasy mood has been around for quite a few months now, so I am definitely planning on participating this time around, and I'm really excited because I get to actually make my TBR based on the prompts and everything. If you haven't already seen Holly's video, I definitely recommend going over to her channel and checking it out because she'll give you full details of everything, and she created these beautiful graphics. She just did such a great job crafting this readathon. She clearly put so much work into it and it really shows, and I'm so excited to pick out my clothes and my weapons and my animal companions. And there's actually an animal companion that was inspired by me, which I'm so happy about. Thank you, Holly. That is obviously one that I'm going to be going for. One thing that I will tell you guys is that you don't have to read fantasy in order to participate in the readathon. You can choose from any genre. My TBR is all fantasy except for one book. So the readathon takes place from May 1st to May 31st, so it's the entire month of May, and I'm so excited, and I'm going to show you guys what I am planning on reading. First of all, there is a tier of different numbers of books that you can read to get from peasant to empress. So I'm going to be striving for empress, which is the most books, and that is 7. So the goal for me is to read 7 books during this readathon. I'm actually thankful that that's the highest tier because you'll see why a little bit later on. So the first item that I'm going to be going for is the beautiful pink dress, and the prompt for that is a pristine book. So this is my only non-fantasy book. I'm planning on reading Undercover Bromance by Lyssa Kay Adams. I ordered this from Barnes & Noble and it finally arrived, so I'm really excited that I now have the opportunity to read it. I totally missed the boat on pre-ordering this one, and I obviously made a grave mistake because then the world went into turmoil and it's been kind of challenging to get books. But Undercover Bromance is the companion novel to the first book in the series, which I really loved. It was one of my favorite books of last year. It was called The Bromance Book Club. This one is a companion, so it's following a different set of characters, but I really like the characters that it is following. Quite excited to read this, and this will kind of break up my fantasy reads. I'm probably not going to read it first. I'll probably read it later in the month. Also, apologies if you hear any vibrating, but it is Abra Community Day, so I am using my Go Plus. I have it next to me so that I can it was backwards, so that I can hopefully be catching any shinies that are wandering about while I'm in the middle of filming. The next set of prompts revolve around the weapons that you can choose, so I'm definitely going to be going for a sword, and the prompt for that is something pointy on the cover, so I figured what is more fitting than a sword. I didn't actually get around to reading Bloody Rose in April. I was supposed to buddy read it with Andrew and Alexa and Mackie, but unfortunately, with everything going on, we'd wanted to film a video together afterward, and since we're probably not really gonna get to see each other for a while, all of us kind of just decided to wait. So I do really still want to get to it though, so I'm making it a priority for May. This is the second book after Kings of the Wilds. This is also a companion novel, and this is following a character named Rose, and I'm really excited because I loved the first book and I can't wait to read the second one. And I actually know that Holly loves these books too. She's the one that really got me excited about them to begin with, so it feels fitting to read this during her readathon. Next on my list is yet another weapon, and that is a shield. And the prompt for this is a book that you have high expectations for. So I am going with The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan. This is the third book in the Wheel of Time series. I'm really excited to continue on. So I decided to take a break from reading Wheel of Time in April so that I could pick up some shorter books and try to catch up on some more of the physical books on my TBR, and then leave it to me. I ended up picking up Way of Kings, which is even longer than any of the books in the Wheel of Time. Apparently that's just how I read. So I'm very much looking forward to this one. I'm actually buddy reading this along with Jess from Stars Above Jess. Jess is really awesome. If you haven't checked her out, I definitely recommend doing so. I've definitely talked about her on my channel before because I really enjoy her videos. She tends to read a lot of the kinds of things that I read, and she also really likes sci-fi. She reads a lot of adult fantasy, adult sci-fi, and she also likes comics and graphic novels. So she's just a very well-rounded reader, her, and she's also a lovely person. I got to meet her last year at Book Expo, and sadly we're not going to see each other again this year because it's canceled. I'm really excited to be buddy reading this with her. I think it'll be good to have someone to talk to the whole time, because while I was reading the second one and the first one, there were so many things where I was like, I wish I could talk to someone about this, but I just didn't. I don't know anyone in my real life who has read them. So sometimes I would bother Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and just send her messages while I was reading. But it'll be fun to be like actually reading this one along with Jess so we can talk about it in real time. Next is the prompt that was inspired by me, and it's for an animal companion. And this one is for a fox, which obviously that would be the one that I would be going for. So the prompt for this is to read a book with orange on the dust jacket, or, you know, cover if it's a paperback. So I've decided to finally get to one of my most anticipated books from last year that I didn't actually read, and that is Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Seafader. This is the first book in the Ronin trilogy, which is the Dreamer trilogy. It takes place after the Raven Cycle, and the Raven Cycle is one of my all-time favorite series like ever. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. A bunch of my friends have already read it and said that it was incredible, and I have no doubt that I'm going to end up loving it too, and I'm so excited to get to it and to finally like make it a priority. It's been kind of hard to find this one on ebook at my library. There's always like a long wait for it. So I feel like I was waiting for a while and then never got it. And now that we're home, I'm able to read more of the physical books. So now I'm like, oh, this is the perfect time to just like pick it up. The next thing that I'm going for is a backup dress. So this dress is like a little bit cooler. It looks like it has more like armor kind of stuff on it, and it's very like Lord of the Rings to me. So I wanted to have this so that I could change in the middle of my Medieval-A-Thon journey. And the prompt for this one is a shiny book. I'm going with Night of Dangers. This is the third and final book in the Adventurers Guild trilogy. I just read the second one. I just finished it like a couple of days ago, so I'm really looking forward to finishing out the trilogy. I really enjoy this series. It's middle grade. It's another series that is so heavily rooted in Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm excited to have two of those on my TBR this month, this one and Bloody Rose. I don't know if you can tell, but the top part here is shiny, so that's why this one fits. Next, I'm gonna go for some more weapons. So I'm gonna go for the daggers, and the prompt for this one is to either start or finish a duology. And I am going to be reading The Rules for Breaking by Ashley Elston. I made a mistake, so this one is actually not fantasy either. This is the first book in a duology by Ashley Elston, and they're the only two books of hers that I haven't yet read, and she's one of my favorite authors, and I've been meaning to read this for so long, so now seems like the perfect time to do so. This one is actually a thriller novel. It's a thriller duology. I believe the main character is in like the witness protection program or something, but I'm not 100% sure. I read the synopsis like probably over a year ago now when I first bought this, and I don't really remember it. And since it's a thriller, I'm thinking it's probably best to go in knowing as little as possible. And then the last prompt, which will be the 7th book of my TBR, is for a horse companion, because I feel like horses are very useful in these kinds of journeys. I'm not actually sure what we're doing, like what the story is for Medieval-A-Thon this year, but I would imagine that traveling wise it would make sense to have a horse. The prompt for that is a tall hardcover, and I chose the tallest of tall hardcovers on my shelf. That is the first library edition of Legend of Korra. The story arc is called Turf Wars. It collects all 3 graphic novels within this series into one like beautifully bound up edition, and I need to read this because the second one, the second library edition is coming out in October, I want to say, so I want to have this read before that comes out, so that was like perfect timing. Legend of Korra is like the companion television show to Avatar: The Last Airbender. I assume everyone kind of already knew that, but just letting you know in case you didn't. All of Avatar is coming to Netflix on May 15th, and I'm so excited. I own the Blu-rays, but I'm also just really excited that now more people will have the opportunity to watch it because it is such a great series. I've really loved the Avatar comics. I'm caught up on those. The next library edition of that's coming out in June, and I'll definitely read that right away, but I haven't read any of the Korra ones yet because this was the first bind up that we got, and I'm really excited to do so. Okay, so that is everything that I have on my Medieval-A-Thon TBR. Let me know if you've read anything that I mentioned. Let me know if you're going to be participating, any of the prompts that you're going to be going for, like any of the clothing or your title or your companions or weapons. Let me know down below, and that's all that I have for this video, and I will see you guys soon in a new one. Bye!